going on a date. A second date, actually, to be exact. So I figured while I get ready for the date, we could have a little chat about how things have been going, what dating has been like over the last, I guess it's been like 3-4 weeks now, kind of an entire month. Doesn't feel like it, but I guess it has been. I mentioned in my video that I did recapping my year of no dating that I had made a list of questions to ask myself when I start dating again, and also just like little affirmations that I wrote down that I thought would be helpful. So I figured I would also talk a little bit about what those questions are. Anyways, before I even get started with my makeup, let me hit myself with some perfume. I smell good every day, but I want to make sure, especially on dates, that I am smelling gorgine. They get a little whiff of me and they're like, I want to be close to her. Which is great because today's video is sponsored by Scentbird. I'm so excited to be partnering with Scentbird because I actually found my favorite perfumes through Scentbird probably about like a year and a half ago now. If you don't know what Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service where you get to pick one new designer fragrance to try every single month for just $16. With each fragrance, you get a 30-day supply. It's like a little vial, I'll show you. So you get to totally try out the fragrance before committing to the perfume you want to get. These are what the vials look like. One of these is a 30-day supply, and you just twist it up and boom. This one is Rag & Bone Oddity, which I'm so excited to try. I haven't smelled this one yet, but the last time I did Scentbird, like a year and a half ago, one of the fragrances that I ended up sticking with that I loved was Rag & Bone Incense. This is my second bottle of this, and it was a fragrance that I tried on Scentbird, figured out that I loved, and then totally committed to. Incense by Rag & Bone is a little bit more like woodsy, and it definitely like smells like you're in nature. Let me try Oddity by Rag & Bone. I'm very excited about this. Ooh, this one is a lot more citrusy, but it's got that same sort of like naturey, woodsy feel that Incense does, which is great for my date tonight. Always put it on the back of your neck too. That's how you get them. This one is one by Sisley Paris. I'd say this one is pretty citrusy, pretty floral. It's got a little bit of spice to it. Like it doesn't feel too feminine. I feel like if I am gonna wear a floral fragrance, it needs to have like a little bit of spice, a little bit of kick to it. And if you're totally unsure where to start, you can head over to Scentbird's fragrance recommendation quiz so they can give you some recommendations for what scents you might like. And the best part about all of this is you can use code Maddie55 for 55% off your first purchase at Scentbird, which comes out to about $7 for your first month. So if you're on the hunt for a new signature scent or you don't yet have a signature scent, I highly recommend trying out Scentbird and finding a scent that you love. Now let's get into it. Now that I'm smelling sexy, let's do my makeup. I'm gonna do like my signature purple eye look that so many of you ask me about every single time I wear it. So if you've ever wanted to know, now you're gonna know. I don't really wear that much face makeup anymore, so I'm using the Say Slip Tint. It's just like a tinted moisturizer that has 35 SPF in it. So I've been on 3 first dates so far, and I can't remember if I said this in my last video, but at first I thought that 2 of them were gonna get second dates, but then I decided that only 1 of them was gonna get a second date. So this is the only second date that I am going on so far. I'm probably not gonna share a ton about my dates other than how I'm personally feeling and reflecting. This has been something that I've been thinking about a lot. I don't think it's necessary for me to disclose information about the dates itself or the person that I'm going on dates with. I think that what's more interesting is hearing what I'm thinking about, reflecting on, and how this is going internally. The same way my emotionally unavailable year was more focused on myself and my own experience and how I am thinking and reflecting. And obviously there will be things that happen throughout this year that sort of trigger reflections in me, but really I'm going to keep the personal details of the dates and the people I date totally confidential. Dating is obviously a super intimate thing, and though I signed up for 200,000 people to consume information about my life, the people that I date did not sign up for that, and I don't need them to sign up for that. Even if they were okay with it, I just wouldn't feel comfortable putting them in that position. What I will say is that all 3 of the men that I've gone out with so far, I had great first dates with. Obviously, you just end up having better connections with some than others. Some it's like, oh, this is a good first date, but like there's nothing here. But I'm excited to see how things go, to continue going on more first dates, more second dates, and just keep putting myself out there. Right now, I just applied some of the Kosas concealer. I really like this bitch. I've only been using it for like a month, but I really like it. I feel really good so far though. After like a month of doing this, I feel like pretty proud of myself. I feel like I see so much of a change in myself, and like dating feels so different this time around, and I really didn't think it was gonna be this different. Like I just felt like I was gonna be better at working through the things that I would go through. I didn't expect there to be like this dramatic of a difference in myself, but I don't know. Maybe I was just selling myself short, predicting worse to like pad myself in case things were worse, but things have been going great. I feel like very at ease when it comes to asserting my boundaries and communicating what I need. On all 3 of these dates, I was the one who brought up talking about what are you looking for, dating history, and I told all of them about my year of no dating, talked about some of the reflections that I had that I talked about on this channel, and they were really awesome conversations, and I felt really proud of myself for like having the courage to say, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need, this is what I learned, and like you're either with it or I'm too much, and that's fine. And being able to show up so honestly as myself like that allowed for great conversation on all 3 of my dates. And it just feels really good to show up for myself and to prioritize what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling and what I need over trying to, I don't know, conform myself into becoming this it girl that I think that men want. I don't care what men want, I care what Maddie wants. This is what Maddie wants, take it or leave it. And I feel really happy that it feels so easy to say all that now, because it for sure didn't before. All right, next I'm gonna use the Tower 28 Cream Blush. I just load this bad boy on. All right, so like I said, I made a list of questions to ask myself while dating someone new, and I will say most of these questions don't apply in like the initial phase of meeting someone. I think most of my questions refer to later down the line when you're a little bit more invested, not like a first, second date sort of vibe, but I think they're nice to just review and keep at the top of your mind regardless. Also, gotta have blush on your nose because that is the cutest shit on earth. Next up, I'm using the Kosas Air Brow Gel. I just brush these bad boys like straight up. The first question that I had written down was, does this person communicate their feelings and intentions well? And part 2 is, how do they react when you communicate your feelings and intentions? Obviously, having a partner that knows how to communicate and is at a stage in their life where that's a part of themselves that they already are connected to is important to me. Part of what I need in order to feel good in a partnership. If I am with someone who doesn't communicate well and isn't developed in that aspect of their lives, I will be very upset and insecure and will not be happy in the partnership. On top of that though, being with someone who doesn't react well when you are trying to communicate and be an adult and like show up for the relationship doesn't like bide well for the connection. And I think that matters a lot, you know? If you're with someone who communicates their feelings fine, and maybe you convince yourself that they're a good communicator because they communicate some things well, but when you try to communicate how you're feeling, or that you're feeling hurt or disappointed, or you know, whatever else that you're gonna have to at some point communicate during the length of your relationship, and they don't react well, they don't take criticism well, they don't have these sort of difficult conversations well, that's a big red flag. And I'm writing all of these questions down because I feel like sometimes in the heat of it all, when you start spending a lot of time with someone, it's easier to start overlooking the parts of them that aren't quite living up to what you had hoped. I think the more you know someone and the more you love other parts of them, the quicker you are to dismiss the parts that aren't so great. And only you can decide if something is like make or break, if something's a deal breaker. But I think that like just asking yourself these types of questions give you an opportunity to reflect and be like, is this something we can work on? Is this something we can work through? Or is this something that is indicative of, you know, a larger incompatibility. Next, I'm just using the Freck XL. I'm gonna throw on some fake freckles. This is new. I started doing this like a week ago because I was bored and I bought this thing. So I'm late, but I like it. Does this person belittle your interests and act as if your hobbies are beneath them? Now this might be very specific, but I'm hoping that maybe someone out there relates to what I'm about to say. I'm about to give a pretty specific example from my own life, but as I'm just sitting here thinking as I'm editing, I think a lot of interests that are usually popular among women get belittled. I think there are a lot of, you know, feminine interests in general, whether that's makeup or fashion or certain genres of music. A lot of things like that, if they are something that is often consumed by a feminine crowd, gets belittled by men a lot of the time. And also, I think a lot of the time people don't even necessarily see it as like, oh, this person is belittling my interest. They just think of it as like, oh, he's a bro, rather than like he's being fucking disrespectful. I can't. Someone who went to college for film and that dates a lot of other creative people, film types, there can tend to be some people who look down upon those of us who have taken the path of social media instead of pursuing a more traditional media job post-grad. I experienced this as someone who worked in like social media and advertising post-grad, and also someone who did YouTube and whose main passion was YouTube. I had guys that I dated last time around tell me that they thought that I should quit YouTube. And I often felt like some of the guys that I had gone out with thought that they were better than me because they were working more traditional jobs, or they were a PA on a fucking HBO film set, and they were like, and you're doing YouTube? You gotta get out there, Maddie. And it's like, bro, I can't. The pretentiousness just for sure jumps out sometimes, and I have absolutely dated people in the past where they just didn't respect what I did. When that one guy told me that I should quit doing YouTube, I was in like a creative block. I didn't post on YouTube for like 8 months. It was in like 2019, the summer after I graduated college. And I was in a creative block, and I would chat with him about it because it's like, you know, nice to talk to other creatives about that type of thing. And he was like, have you thought of just not doing it? And I was always like, what? How do you misunderstand me so deeply? Like, this is something that matters so much to me. I've been doing it for years. I'm just stuck right now. And good thing I didn't listen. I think at the time I convinced myself that he thought that he was being helpful, or I was just too insecure to want to stand up and be like, actually, no, fuck you. Like, this is a career path that I want to pursue, and I don't think that pursuing social media makes me like any less of a talented filmmaker than you are. We have the same goddamn degree. Like, shut up. Also, you don't even need a degree to do film. Like, I can't stand people who like get on their high horses about creativity and like different methods and mediums. Like, it just really irks me. And also, obviously, I'm such a huge fan of social media. I think there are so many fucking incredible social media content creators that are making better shit and pulling better numbers than some of these like major networks and like late night shows and shit. Like, I can't. It's not something that I agree with. It's not a mindset that I agree with. And something that I reflected on a lot this past year is just how like I really need to be with someone who truly deeply respects what I do and what I like doing, and is not going to belittle me for my hobbies or make me feel like my interests are less than because I've taken a non-traditional path with my degree. You know? I also think it's worth noting here that most people that pursue social media, whether you're a creator yourself or you're doing social media for a brand, an individual, you're editing for people, whatever it is, if you're in the world of social media, you are exercising that creative part of your brain more often than most people do. You are in a constant routine and ritual of being creative, of forcing yourself to get out there and fucking make something, which is more than most people can say. Can you tell I'm so tired of people being on their high horses about this? I just find it so off-putting. I do. I could fight about this for hours. Also, what I just did, I used the Becca highlighter in Ignite. I've had this shit for so long, and you have to use so little of it for it to just absolutely blind the shit out of your face. So that's probably expired, but I actually don't care because it's so good. Right, next, I'm gonna throw on some Urban Decay Primer Potion, keeping it classic, all right? Gotta keep the 2010s in my routine somehow. Next question is, does this person make you feel anxious or self-critical? I read a lot about attachment styles this year. I feel like I'm someone who is secure in a lot of ways and anxious in other ways. I definitely have some tendencies towards anxious attachment, and this is part of why I really need to be with someone who is communicative and consistent, and it's something that I'm actively working on, that I talk about in therapy. And my therapist has even pointed out to be like, I think you're a little harsh on yourself. Sometimes I like will describe myself as having an anxious attachment style, but then I describe something that would make anybody anxious. She's like, you know, I actually don't think that's something that needs to be fixed. I think that's a reasonable reaction to what happened. And I'm like, noted. Okay. I feel like in the past I have ended up with a few people who just made me really anxious all the time, and I found myself like pacing around my apartment being like, what's gonna happen? What's going on? What are they thinking? And just like, you know, going into full spiral. I have in the past dealt with some liars, some people who said one thing and then did another, and it really has fucked with my head and has fucked with my ability to trust people completely. And that's why it's so important for me to be with partners that are communicative and consistent and show up honestly and allow me to build that trust with them. I can't be with partners that make me feel anxious and uncertain all the time. I need to be with someone who communicates with me, is honest with me, who is true to their word, and that I can have open conversations with about my anxiety if I start to feel that way. It does feel like something that I have mostly under control within reason, but you know, things happen, and I need to be with someone who I can have those conversations with if I'm feeling a little wobbly. I also just think that I deserve the type of love that I give people, because I feel like I'm very conscious when I'm with someone, when I'm interested in someone, about making them feel secure and helping them through their struggles and anxieties and hardships. And I feel like very committed to being present for the person that I'm with in that way. And I really need someone who's also committed to me in that way, because I just fucking deserve it. I think I deserve to date someone who is as present and introspective and gentle as I am. I'm not looking for someone perfect. I'm looking for someone who shows the fuck up. That's all. I'm not perfect, but I show the fuck up. All right, eyeshadow, let's do it. It's a very easy process. You're gonna be like, whoa, that's it? It's really it. I use the Sugar Pill Capsule Collection. It's like the pink version. You don't have to use this palette. You are just gonna need to find a deeper purple and then like a shiny, reflective, light purple. That's all you need. All right, start off by taking this purple. I'm just gonna layer it all over my lid, and then I'm gonna blend it up and out. Another question, has this person proven to be reliable and consistent in pursuing a connection with you? Secondary question attached to this is, has this person made an effort with making dates special? Building a connection with someone goes both ways, right? And if you're anything like me, when you start liking someone, you start putting in that goddamn effort. You want to make them feel good, you want to impress them, you want to make them feel wrapped up and loved by you. But do they do the same thing for you? Are you the one initiating every date, coming up with the plans for every date? Are your dates more thought out and personal than theirs are? Like, are they putting in effort to impress you, or are you putting in effort to impress them and just like reaping your happiness based off of the effort that you put in and they just like showed up? Here's the thing. When you are like a giving, loving person who really wants to pursue a meaningful connection with someone, I think sometimes it's easy to get sucked into connections with people who aren't putting in the same effort, because you're so like enthralled by your own effort and they go along with it, that you're like, oh, we're having so much fun, even though they're not initiating any of it and they're really not putting in a lot of effort to impress you and be with you. Like, straight the fuck up. It takes a lot to be with someone like me. I am a fucking catch and you better act like it. That's what this question is. I want to be with someone who wants to impress me and make me feel good. I want someone who's like, you know, they give a shit. Oh my God, it always comes back down to this, doesn't it? And it's not even, you're not asking for that much, but even saying it out loud sometimes feels like, oh, am I asking for too much? That I want him to plan special dates? No. We just literally have been taught to ask men for the bare fucking minimum. It's so weird. Another question, this one's sort of related to what I talked about earlier, but how does this person make you feel when you're together? And then how does this person make you feel when they're not around? I feel like I've dated people in the past who have been so affectionate with me and, you know, telling me they want to do this, that, and whatever with me. And, they're so impressed by me. When we're together, laying in my bed. And then when we're not together, it's like I don't exist to them. And I don't like that. If you give a shit, I want you to give a shit always and not just like after I've given you the best blowjob of your life, you know? After you do the dark purple, you go in with this lighter, like reflective, shiny purple shade, and you're gonna cover the whole entire lid with it, and it changes the shade of purple. Just a little bit. Beautiful, gorgine. All right, look at that. And the last question I have is, do they offer you innocent affection? Are they respectful of your boundaries and of your body in general? Listen, we all know I'm a sexual woman, all right? A lot of my videos are about sex. If we know anything about me, it's that I fuck. I do, and I do enjoy it, and I do it abundantly, all right? Not to be that bitch, but I love sex. And I love being physically intimate with the people that I'm dating. However, just because I am a very sexual woman, that doesn't mean you get to do whatever the fuck with me. I think sometimes men see how I am and they start to get a little trigger happy and they're like, oh, she's down for this, she's down for everything. I'll tell you right now, I am not down for everything. I have boundaries and you have to respect them, ask me about them, talk to me about them. If you can't have a mature conversation with me about sex and the things that we want to try and whatever, then we're not having sex. I really value the physical touch aspect of the relationship with the people that I date, and I need someone like active in communicating about that aspect and also making sure that there is always a balance between innocent touch and non-innocent touch. Because I start to freak out a little if it's all sexual. All right, so next I'm going to curl my lashes and put on some mascara. This is the Merit tubing mascara. Usually I wear false lashes. I'm not gonna put them on right now. Maybe I will decide to put them on later. I can never decide if I like my makeup without fake lashes. I'm always like, the fake lashes just give me a level of drama that I need, but I'll pass right now and just put mascara on. Additionally, outside of those questions, I also made a list of some affirmations and statements that I find helpful to repeat to myself. You deserve a slow love, uncomplicated, no rush, stable, consistent. You deserve someone who's sure of you, that you are also sure of. I do not claim their energy nor invite it into my life if it does not make me feel safe and loved. Do things from love, not for love. This is actually a reflection that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've had this one written down for months, but I just think it's been more on the top of my brain recently. Last two steps, I'm using the House Labs Lip Crayon in Talk Dirty and the Tower 28 Lip Jelly in Cashew. I've had this on my mind a lot lately because I feel like a lot of the time, often unintentionally, when we are dating, we end up doing things for love instead of from love. You start doing things for attention, for validation, to get like a thumbs up from the other person to be like, yep, it's going well, we're going good, instead of accepting that sometimes dating is uncomfortable. You're looking for them to give you some sort of relief, to quiet that part of your brain that's like so worried of rejection. You start acting in ways where the only reason why you're asking these questions or acting in this way is because you need to get that affirmation from another person. Now, it's not a bad thing necessarily to seek affirmation and validation and confirmation of the fact that you are loved and wanted from your partner, but I think there are boundaries to it, right? Where it becomes appropriate and not appropriate. And I think a lot of the time when we're in, like, especially the early stages of dating someone, you have to sort of accept that it is going to be uncomfortable. That at times you are going to feel overly exposed, overly vulnerable, and you will feel at times that maybe you've exposed a part of your heart and you so badly just want to hear the other person be like, and I feel that way too. But that's not how it works. And people move at their own paces. They communicate at their own paces, and sometimes that is indicative of a larger incompatibility, but sometimes it's just like, it's early days and it's gonna be a little uncomfortable sometimes as you're both sort of figuring out how you feel, how you fit together, if you fit together, and how to communicate that to each other. Sometimes it's just uncomfortable, and you have to some degree, accept that feeling of discomfort and that feeling of being overly vulnerable and putting yourself out there. It does feel scary sometimes, and you just sort of have to accept that instead of, you know, trying to shower this person in affection and texting them all the time, trying to make plans all the time, doing all of that with the intention of pulling more affection and love and thought out of them. You know, there's like a difference between doing something because you just like someone and want to do something nice for them, and doing something because you hope that they will reciprocate. You can't force someone to want you or love you, and that wouldn't bring you the type of person that you're looking for anyways. You want someone who wants you. Let them want you. Let them show you that they want you. And you're gonna have to accept feeling a little uncomfortable if that timeline doesn't look exactly like the timeline that you want it to look like. You know, another one that I say all the time is the love I am looking for is also looking for me. And the final little reminder I have written here for myself is just one that says, the goal is not to avoid disappointment or hurt. It's to connect with other people and with myself, and to give myself grace and patience in moving through those feelings and that vulnerability. I feared at first, when I was first getting back into dating, that the second I felt something negative, the second I felt sad, the second I felt insecure, that I would think that I had lost progress or I was doing bad. And the truth of the matter is that the reason I took a year off dating was not so that dating would be easier, that I would all of a sudden never be hurt again, never be insecure again, never be sad again. You know, it was to be more comfortable with those emotions, get closer with myself, get closer with what I want, get better at standing up for myself and communicating. You're still gonna feel sad, you're still gonna feel disappointment, and that's okay. And you don't have to run from those emotions. The reason why I wrote down all of those questions and affirmations is just because I really want to make sure that I am showing up and making sure that I am getting the love I deserve, not only the love that is offered to me. So I've just been checking in with myself and asking myself these questions as they begin to apply. Obviously, it's very early days right now. None of these questions really apply right now. The affirmations are nice though. Anyways, this is my final look. I am ready for my date. I fucking can't with the purple hair, you guys. I'm just like living my fucking fantasy. Thank you again to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. All the links are gonna be down in the description down below. And again, you can use code Maddie55 for 55% off your first purchase at Scentbird. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.